The shift did not happen quietly. It did not creep in over time. It slammed into the NFL media landscape in a way that forced everyone to stop, rewind, and confront what they had been saying for months. One of the loudest voices questioning Shadur Sanders' legitimacy has now done the unthinkable. Dan Orlovsky, once relentless in his criticism, has publicly reversed course. Not subtly, not halfway fully, and the reason is simple. What Shadur Sanders is putting on tape is no longer debatable. For a long time, the biggest critique attached to Shadur coming out of school was speed. Not foot speed, but mental speed. The accusation was that he processed too slowly, held the ball too long, and relied on structure rather than instinct. That narrative followed him into the league, repeated endlessly by analysts who had already made up their minds. Orlovsky was at the front of that line, dissecting interviews, body language, and preseason moments as if every detail confirmed a predetermined verdict. The tone was dismissive. The language was harsh. The conclusion felt final. Then the game started to matter. What has happened since Shedeur stepped into the Browns' offense has completely shattered that old narrative. He is playing faster, not rushed, not reckless. Faster in the way elite quarterbacks play fast, where the decision is made before the ball is even snapped. His head snaps immediately after the fake on boot action. He locates the end man without hesitation. He identifies leverage. He throws on time. Those details separate college projection from professional execution, and they are now showing up consistently on film. That is where Orlovsky's tone changed. Not because of public pressure, not because of social media backlash, but because the tape left no room to hide. In recent breakdowns, Orlovsky stopped talking about what Shadur was not and started explaining what he is. He pointed out backside reads, pocket discipline, and throws made under real NFL pressure. The same analyst who once labeled Shedeur one of the weakest throwers suddenly found himself calling specific plays elite-level quarterbacking. Reversal matters because Orlovsky built his reputation on quarterback evaluation. He has praised stars and buried prospects for years. For someone like him to publicly acknowledge that Shedeur is not only good but the best option for Cleveland is not a small moment. It is an admission that the original evaluation was wrong. The irony is that the traits being praised now were always present. Shadurs.com, his confidence, his comfort and structure were misinterpreted as arrogance or stiffness. His interviews were scrutinized as if personality traits somehow determined arm talent. Even in the preseason, criticism focused more on optics than execution. Every throw felt like a job interview. Every comment another reason to doubt him. That environment made it easy to ignore growth and impossible to offer patience. What changed was opportunity. Once Shadur was given real reps, a real game plan, and real responsibility, the picture became clear. He is decisive. He trusts his reads. He stands tall in the pocket. He delivers the ball with anticipation rather than reaction. On throws where pressure collapses the pocket, he does not panic. He resets his base. He keeps his eyes downfield. He makes NFL throws from NFL platforms. Those are not traits you fake. They are either there or they are not. Orlovsky is not alone in being forced to reevaluate. Tony Gross, another voice that once dismissed Shedeur at every turn, has undergone a similar reversal. This is someone who previously questioned his toughness, mocked his soreness, and treated his development as an inconvenience rather than a process. Even then, Shedeur never responded publicly. He never defended himself. He simply kept working. That restraint is part of why this moment feels bigger than football analysis. Shadur did not win over critics with words. He did it by handling real adversity. Against the Titans, he faced deficits, pressure, and a game that demanded leadership. He responded by bringing the Browns back, not once, but twice. Fourth quarter touchdowns. Command of the huddle. Calm execution when the margin for error was gone. That was the first time many skeptics saw him in a true comeback scenario at the NFL level. And he passed. Even those who had waited eagerly for him to fail had no choice but to acknowledge what they saw. The evaluation shifted from hypothetical flaws to undeniable performance, from projection to proof. When analysts who once rooted against you start explaining why your mechanics are clean and your decisions are advanced, the conversation is over. What makes this transformation even more telling is how fast it happened. Shedeur has not had years in the system. He has not had ideal circumstances. He has had chaos, pressure, and scrutiny. Yet his processing speed, once the main knock against him, has become one of his strengths. He is not surviving off-script chaos. He is winning within structure, which is far harder and far more sustainable. There is also an uncomfortable truth beneath this reversal. Some critics were never evaluating football alone. They were evaluating comfort. Shedeur does not fit the traditional mold of how certain people expect quarterbacks to speak, move, or present themselves. That discomfort bled into analysis. Now that his performance has removed every football-based excuse, the backtracking has begun. The apologies, whether explicit or implied, do not change the months of dismissal, but they do confirm something important. Shadur Sanders forced the NFL media to correct itself, not through narrative control, but through excellence. This is not about one game or one throw. It is about trajectory. Shadur is showing week-to-week growth, command, and resilience. The same analysts who once questioned whether he belonged are now discussing him as the future of the Browns. That does not happen unless the film demands it. The story unfolding here is bigger than a critic changing his mind. It is about a young quarterback who refused to bend himself to outside expectations and instead bent the game to his skill set. It is about preparation beating perception. It is about patience outlasting noise. Now the league is watching differently. Not to see if Shadur will fail, but to see how far he can go. So now the question turns to you. Has Shadur Sanders fully silenced his critics, or is this only the beginning of a much larger shift in how he is viewed across the NFL? Do you believe analysts like Dan Orlovsky and Tony Gross are genuinely owning their mistakes, or are they simply reacting to a reality they can no longer deny? And most importantly, do you see Shadur Sanders as the long-term franchise quarterback Cleveland has been searching for? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation is just getting started. If you want to stay locked in on Shadur's rise and every twist in this story, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss what comes next.